Okay, well, I think we should get started. So welcome, everybody. Really nice to see your faces. Really nice, I have to tell you. And I was just looking over the lists of both groups, and I would say certainly 50% and maybe closer to 75 of you have traveled with us in the past. So welcome back. It's just so nice to see. And they're all these trips are completely different, as you know. And you're going to find this one completely different again. So you're in excellent hands with Ruth. She is the best of the best. And Jill, she'll make the perfect assistant. I know it. I absolutely know it. So you're in for a good time. I just wish I was coming. So tonight, what we wanted to do is just basically go over the logistics again and talk a little bit about the itinerary. We've got a slideshow for you, and just kind of check in and let you know what the next few weeks are going to look like. So we're going to start by doing the fun stuff, I think. So we'll start with Ruth and the slideshow, talking about the itinerary, and then we'll come back and talk about the logistics. So cross your fingers.
Okay, so Cindy, you're going to click it through, right? I'll just say next.
Yeah,
Okay. So hi everybody. I'm just so excited about Santa Fe. And do you have the slideshow up?
coming. There you go.
And what can I say? The land of enchantment. You're going to fall in love. You're going to fall in love with the landscape, the art, the big skies, the food. There's nothing like it. It's absolutely wonderful. And I know we're going at a wonderful time of year. So what we're going to do here is just run through these images. Now, many of you have already seen um, these images when we went through them. And what I've done is I've taken out about 10 or 15 just to make this shorter because we need to talk about logistics, and Cindy has a lot of details. So we're just going to run through the images. So we're already kind of there, got 2 feet on the ground, and get the feel of it. So Santa Fe, New Mexico is a very magical, very unique place. I would say, it's been built by artists and artisans. It's Santa Fe itself is almost like a bubble. And then you get outside and you're into the lands of all the different, there's 23 pueblos in that area, tribes, and we will drive through a lot of them. But Santa Fe itself is mostly about art, culture. There's 400 plus restaurants. There's about 300 art galleries and museums, and it's a feast for all the senses. And of course, we will be going up in the country. We're taking the high road to Taos, and again, it's a place that was settled by artists and artisans going way back to the early 1900s. George O'Keeffe, as you see in the left-hand photo here, we'll be doing a lot of conversation around George O'Keeffe. And she came out for the weather, and she heard about this incredible place. She lived in New York City, was married to Alfred Stieglitz, the famous photographer, and she came out and went, "That's it, I'm staying." So she was one of the people, and this kept happening. And most of these people, a large amount of them, are women. So I'm going to say that women, female artists feature very big in settling and creating the culture that is this area of New Mexico. Of course, the center slide here, you see some of the incredible food. It's based around chilies. And when I say chilies, it doesn't have to be hot at all. It's flavor. The capital of red chilies of North America is in Chimayo, which we will be going through on the high road up to Taos on a day trip. And so you're going to enjoy, I think, the cuisine to a great extent. And on the right here, it's some of the indigenous imagery that is all over, everywhere. So, Cindy, do you want to flip next slide?
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying.
Stuck.
Oh, here. Bear with me. Sorry, this is.
And most of you who are on here right now saw Jill come in. So Jill McCrae is assisting us with the tour, and we are longtime friends. Jill and I have worked closely when I was the curator for the Ferry Building Gallery and the district of West Vancouver for many, many years, 24 years. Jill worked voluntarily with me and ran the Friends of the Ferry Building Society, and we've done a lot together. She's a wonderful painter, artist. If she comes on the screen, you'll see her paintings behind, and a business person. And I know that you're absolutely going to enjoy having Jill on board. So again, here's a Santa Fe type image you will see everywhere. Another Georgia O'Keeffe, and we will learn from our guide that we have there for 2.5 days, Jerry Reitman. We'll get in depth about George O'Keeffe. He's become the George O'Keeffe expert of Santa Fe. And you will learn in depth about her art and how it relates to the landscape. Next, Cindy. Okay, most of you have seen this before in the slideshow, but just take a look. You can see Santa Fe here in the center. You're coming in from left, bottom left from Albuquerque, and that drive coming into Santa Fe, it's pretty bleak. It's wide open. There's the Santo Domingo Pueblo, there's the San Felipe, there's Cochiti, there's a number of pueblos through there, but it's going to look like pretty bleak landscape until you get into Santa Fe. Now, you'll see if you go towards the top of the screen and you see the road going up, there's a blue and an orange. We'll be taking that trip. It's a full day trip from like 8 in the morning till 6, 7 at night. We'll be heading out one day from Santa Fe up through Chimayo. Again, we're going through all these the lands of all the different pueblos, the Tesuque, the Poake, the Nambe, and Chimayo we'll have a slide in here about it shortly. It's a beautiful drive going up here, all the beautiful pine trees. And then we go to Taos. And in Taos, just to the right of the word Taos, you'll see the Pueblo, where we will visit there. And then we come back down the other way and we go along the Rio Grande River, which is very interesting. And another day, we have a full day trip, again, 8 in the morning till, dinner time. If you go back to where Santa Fe is and you go, you can see here, I'll just point Abiquiu up to your left. That is where Georgia O'Keeffe's home is. That's where Ghost Ranch is. Also in that area, very close, I think we go past it, is the trailhead to the site, the set for Open. I don't know how many of you have seen that movie, but the other thing that I'm sure most of you know, if you look towards the bottom of the screen, down from Abiquiu, we are not going to Los Alamos, but if anybody is incredibly interested in this, you can talk to me and we could find a way. You'd have to get a driver and take you there. Los Alamos, of course, is the story of Oppenheimer, which is very big in the theater right now, and of the bomb, and still very, very active. And it's an interesting site, an interesting museum. So a lot of people have a lot of interest in that, particularly now. And then back to Santa Fe. Mostly we're centered right around Santa Fe. Okay, next, Cindy. Here is the downtown, the plaza. So just to give you an idea of where you'll be coming into after on the coach from the airport, landing at our hotel, if you look on the right middle of the screen, it says St. Francis Cathedral. Just to the right of that, it's not on the screen, but that's where our hotel is. So we're beautifully placed right in here. Right, yeah, just next door. It backs right onto the cathedral. So that whole area is very, very walkable. It's not big at all. And this, when I say bubble, it's kind of like this circle road, the Paseo de Peralta that goes around. Most of what we're doing will be in that area. Cindy, could you?
Mhm.
Next slide. Thanks. It's just, again, as I've mentioned before, it's the alchemy. It's a combination of the land, the incredible light, which they describe always as the Provence of North America. And I think that's what inspires such creativity in that area. And it you feel very energized. It's a special kind of illumination. And of course, the earth. When I say the earth, all the buildings in Santa Fe itself, they have a city ordinance. So any building can be any one of 8 colors of shades of adobe. So everything is so even to the eye. All shades of adobe, various shades of brown, earthy color, clay. It's lovely. Next, Cindy. D.H. Lawrence came out in the early 20s, 1920s, and to Taos. He had a fling with one of these women that Mabel Dodge Luhan will go by her house, which is now a retreat center. It's a beautiful old adobe home. She came out in the early 1920s, and she was the one that actually invited George O'Keeffe, and she hosted salons in her house. She was a heiress who had spent a lot of time in Europe with Gertrude Stein and a lot of writers and artists. And she invited D.H. Lawrence out, which of course she ended up having, I think, a wild affair with him. So built a house for him right across from hers, which is still there. And he did have a wife, and I know that his ashes are scattered in this area. It was a very, very important area for him. And I just always love this quote. The moment I saw the brilliant, proud morning shine up over the deserts of Santa Fe, something stood still in my soul. Next, Cindy. Just to give you the feel of the imagery, you'll see, of course, your chilies in the upper left of the screen, and the First Nations Indigenous imagery, and so much of this in the lower rights. That's what I mean by adobe. And the doorways and windowsills are painted. Many, many, many of them are painted in these beautiful blues, a few different shades of that particular blue, and some of it very faded out. It's just so organic and beautiful. This, the lower left scene is where we'll be in that area around Abiquiu. That's where George O'Keeffe painted mostly. That's the Chama River and the famous mountains around there. It's very beautiful. It's beautiful in the way that it is not here. Here we're lush and green, and there it's high Sierra and a very different kind of, I can't say really desert. It is desert, but it's not like the desert, say if you're thinking Palm Springs, because we're at 7,000 feet. Next, Cindy. So the Drury Plaza Hotel is our gorgeous hotel we'll be staying at. And I have not been inside this hotel since they renovated it and turned it into this beautiful place. It is originally a hospital, and it was quite a famous hospital. It's where everybody came out to have their TB treated from New York. And then that it sat derelict for quite a while, and then the Drury chain of hotels took it over, and I know it's filled with beautiful art collection, lovely, lovely rooms. And Cindy, if you can move to the next screen. We'll actually, in that lobby, we're all going to meet when you arrive. It's what we'll do. And something I love here is that the roof has a pool and a hot tub and a gorgeous view over Santa Fe. The rooms are really well sized, and something else that is a lovely feature. So there's a there's a buffet breakfast, hot and cold, every day, and then they have something from 5:30 till 7 o'clock, and I do love that time, called kickback, happy hour and kickback. They have what they call a kickback menu. So happy hour is 3 complimentary drinks, and then the menu is hot and cold buffet food. So if you choose not to go out for dinner, if you want to go into their site, if you go into Drury Plaza Santa Fe and put in happy hour menu, or put in kickback, all one word, it'll come up and tell you every day the basic menu. Now it's not, it's not illustrious, but it's basic good food. And I'm guessing, I haven't been there and had it, but I know it'll be really good quality. And the comments and all the reviews are terrific. So that's all complimentary. So if you want to load up at happy hour and you don't want to go out for dinner, there's that option as well. After a busy day, or you can have, happy hour and lots of snacks and light dinner there. They have sliders, they have salads and pastas, and then go out for a lovely walk after that. Cindy, we can move forward. Thanks. This is our guide that will be with us for 2.5 days, Jerry Reitman. Everybody falls in love with Jerry. You'll love him. He's in his 70s. Jerry is a retired veterinarian from Escondido, California. And he and his wife, she's a veterinarian too. They fell in love with Santa Fe. They retired early. They built a straw bale house, I think straw bale or cob house, just outside of the city. And he has studied and taken care of so many groups, the Rhodes Scholars groups. And we met him just after 2008. And now he has become the George O'Keeffe expert of Santa Fe. So everybody wants him to lecture. And so he'll be coming along with us on the 2 full day road trips. And our first day there, he will be with us in the morning and do a nice walkabout. And we'll be going to the O'Keeffe Museum, the New Mexico Museum of Art with him. And I think he'll join us for our welcome lunch. He's fun. You can move forward, Cindy.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's awkward. There you go.
Is it sticking? Okay. We've been talking about this, so this is just images to get you excited. I think we can just move through these, Cindy, so we can get down to talking about what we need to. We spoke about these before. They're really a symbol of welcome. Also, I think historically they mean these ristras. They're called Ristra, a ristra. They hang on the front of the homes or in the front of a room, everywhere. And they're also a symbol historically of spiritual protection, or protection of the home. And I mentioned the historical influence of women, so we'll be learning a lot about that. Beautiful sculptures of women and Native women everywhere. So the patron saint of, if you want to go back to the Virgin de Guadalupe, she's big in Santa Fe, and this is right behind the hotel where we're staying. This beautiful sculpture of her. So you'll see a lot about the Virgin de Guadalupe. George O'Keeffe Museum, we'll be visiting. It's small. I mean, you're not going to see the whole collection. It's often part of the collection is out anywhere around the world, but they always have a feature exhibition that's beautiful. So we'll be enjoying that on our first day out, early in the morning, actually. And then following that, just down the street, the New Mexican Museum of Art, the 100 years old, that was a couple of years ago. It celebrated the birthday, and they have a very comprehensive collection of traditional historic art, the Tao Society of Artists, and the Santa Fe group. All these artists that came from Europe, they came from Paris, they came from Germany, and they stayed. They came to visit. and they heard about this magical place, and then they stayed. Again, oh, Cindy, you're in that photograph on the left. Here we are at the New Mexico Museum of Art. Wonderful, beautiful murals. This is the barbecue home of George O'Keeffe, and you will be having a private tour. Our group will be having a private tour there. We'll be splitting into, they only take 8 through at a time, so we'll be splitting that, and it's very, very special.
Mhm.
Very special. That's her home. Corner corner right at the bottom, that is George O'Keeffe's bedroom. And looking out at what's called the Pedernal, the mountain that is in so much of the art, and it's a special spiritual place for the native people there. And then Ghost Ranch, we will be going in there and having a lecture and tour with one of their guides who specializes in, knowing the history of the landscape and how that pertains to all the art of the area. I talk about art all the time, and my background is in art. This is not an art tour per se, other than art is key to everything that happens here, and it's organic, right? It was artists coming in, and just finding these little dusty places that they could live and rent and start producing art, because, as I said, they were so excited about the landscape. And then, as happens in anywhere, when artists move in and settle the area, it quickly becomes attractive. Business moves in, tourism comes, becomes a little gentrified, and that is what happened here. But it's really been settled by artists. So the landscape's quite stunning. So what we will be learning on this Ghost Ranch tour is they will be showing you, on your right here, you have the landscape. On the left, you have the painting that George O'Keeffe did of that landscape. So we'll be looking right directly at it. I think was Evan, maybe have another one here. Yeah, you'll see the same thing here. On your left, the landscape. On your right, the painting. Stunning painting.
Mm.
Again. She was very into clothes, George O'Keeffe. Very interesting wardrobe she had, and her Ferragamo shoes. Apparently, nothing but Ferragamo. One day we will be having, we'll have a private coach pick us up at the hotel. We'll be going to Museum Hill. Very cleverly, the city of Santa Fe took 4 major art museums, and they built them on a hill that's about 2 kilometers outside of, away from the plaza, and it overlooks Santa Fe. So it's sort of out of the fray, and beautiful architecture, beautiful area just to wander around. There's 2 key ones that we will be visiting, and then there will be time if you want to go into the other ones. This will be the first one. We'll be having a guided tour by a docent. It has the largest collection of folk art anywhere in the world. There's 110,000 pieces, and it was created by Alexander Gerard and his wife, who traveled extensively. He was a designer, furniture designer, and architect, and they traveled extensively and collected. And it's going to blow your mind. That's all I can say. Incredible.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then right next door is the Museum of Indian Arts and Culture. And they always have a feature turquoise exhibition of turquoise and silver. Everything here in New Mexico is about turquoise and about silver and the silver industry. But the work in here and the jewelry is so beautiful, and is the gift shop in both these places. It's always hard to get everybody out of the gift shop. It's wonderful. Oh, and I mentioned that already. So this is a high road to Taos that we'll be taking for a full day. And switch through. And I mentioned this already, the Sanctuario. So Chimayo is called the Lords of North America. And there is apparently, they call it sacred soil, like sacred dirt in this kind of hole in the ground. And pilgrims and believers come, and some of them come on crutches, some of them walk for hundreds and hundreds of miles, very devout people, and they come to be healed. So if you can you move to the next slide, Cindy? It's a very, very moving place. Okay, this is the cathedral. It goes way back. It's like 1400s. Very interesting. But the key is this, which we will go inside and go through, and you'll see rows and rows of crutches and then photographs of people who have had miraculous healings. And it's utterly fascinating. Utterly fascinating is all I can say. It's a very important place. And Taos, lower right is the Pueblo, and we will be going through there. On one of the tours, it's a feast day of a saint that they celebrate, but they said, pardon me, they will still be open. We just will not have one of their guides, but that's okay. We will have Jerry with us, and I can speak about it as well. And there's generally no photography in there. You can always find so many images online of it, but it's about 1,500 years old. The Pueblo, a UNESCO heritage site. There are some people that live in there. Generally, I think people live off-site, but there are a few little shops. I bought a handmade, what do you call it, like baton for my indigenous drum in one of these little shops, like you see here. And most places there's no electricity. There's a river that runs through, but they don't have running water. And we'll learn all about that area. There's a sacred mountain behind. One of the museums, it's an exquisite small museum that we will visit, the Millicent Rogers Museum. She was, again, an heiress who moved out from New York City. And my favorite, she made her mission to collect and protect the ceramics, the pottery, and the jewelry of all the tribes that she found, because she knew it was going to be lost otherwise. So that's what you'll see. You'll see all the beautiful squash blossom necklaces and incredible ceramics of all these tribes. Cindy, my fun trivia that I learned yesterday, actually Earth Day, I listened to a podcast by Jane Fonda, who was wonderful to listen to. And Millicent Rogers is her great aunt, was her great
No
aunt.
kidding. Huh,
How's that for good trivia?
great, love it.
Jane Fonda, who has a beautiful ranch, of course, just outside Santa Fe. This is a church that features in, I would say everybody's tried to paint this, and it is in George O'Keeffe's paintings. That's how it became famous. Go by there. It's in just outside Taos. It doesn't look quite that pristine. There's a lot of pigeons around, but it's very, very interesting architecture. Next, Cindy. So we will be having a tour of 2 to 3 beautiful homes, and we'll be taken there in a coach. And in 2018, 2017, I was walking down in the rail yard area, and I met this wonderful woman. You can see her with the long blonde hair here. If you flip to the next one, I think there's a photo of Natalie. There she is. Natalie's from South Africa, and that is her assistant. She has a beautiful design and home decor shop full of works from South Africa and some local. She goes on a buying trip to South Africa every year, and her shop is called Casanova. So I met her, and she was telling me about her house and her Navajo art collection and everything. And she said, "Oh, why don't you bring the folks on your tour by my house?" So we did, and it was such a treat. It was wonderful. So we've stayed in touch, and she is arranging our visit to some homes of women she knows. She's part of a women's foundation that does work for local women, for assisting people in need, and they of course they collect funds, and they host also guest speakers. Like when I met her, they'd just had Ruth Ginsburg as their guest speaker. So I can't remember the name of the foundation, but we will be making our donation to the foundation, and for a thank you for the home tours. So we'll be going to private coach, and then she's offered to host us for a cocktail reception in Casanova after. So that will be lovely. You'll enjoy it. Canyon Road, over 100 galleries in a half a mile. This was the original road. It was a little dirt road that, the burros came in with carrying all the firewood. It goes up a little hill around the corner into Santa Fe. And that was the route that, artists discovered. It's like, whoa, this is interesting, and built and rented these, some of them very funky little buildings that haven't been changed much are still there, but they're like world quality, world class art galleries. And buyers come from everywhere, and very, very interesting sculpture everywhere. I don't think you can walk 3 feet in Santa Fe without some very, very interesting sculpture and public art telling a story. I just love the doors and the windows. This is very close to where we're staying. It's called the Miraculous Staircase in the Loreto Chapel. You could read about it. It's called the Miraculous Staircase because there's no visible means of support for this. And so it's something that you could do in free time, go through there. People find it very fascinating. A small chapel, very famous. The iconic rail yard. Santa Fe got very clever and took all their major contemporary art museums and moved them down to the rail yard area, which is a 1 kilometer flat walk from our hotel. A really pretty walk, actually. And so we'll be doing that walk. It is the original rail yard, and it still functions as a rail yard. There's one line that does come in, what's called the Roadrunner. But otherwise, the whole area is art museums, shops, the huge farmers market, which we'll go to on Saturday, and restaurants. And what they've done there is unique, it's functional, it's beautiful, and you'll find it very interesting. Yeah, they have an artisans market that is very seductive. This guy, I don't know if he's still there. I just love this guy. Blow up balloons, not people. He's one of those characters. Santa Fe is full of characters. There's lots of old hippies there. That's what you get. It's laid back. And he is always around down there in the rail yard area. And he has balloons that he does blow up, and he'll give you a balloon, and he's covered in peace buttons. Just local color. Great guy. And again, this is the artisans market. I think this might be our last slide. So just to seduce you with some food, corn is very big in the diet. Carb heavy. Think carbs, ladies. You might want to live on smoothies for a month before we go. It's delicious. And margaritas, of course. Okay. Okay, Cindy, it's your turn, and then we'll get into this. Or do you want me to talk about this right now?
Maybe we should do that just because it's
Okay.
up on the screen. Yeah.
Just because we're here. Okay. So I know we've gone over this before, everyone. It is going to be very warm in the daytime, so 30 to 33. But I talked to a gal in Taos at the last week at the Millicent Rogers Museum, and she said it's beautiful. She said, really, because it's so dry. There's no moisture. So it gets very warm in the daytime, but as she said, it takes a while to warm up because the evenings become very cool. So think about, I think the temperature that it's probably outside here right now. It can be around 11, 12, 13, up to 15 in the evening. So it suddenly cools down. So keep that in mind when you're packing clothes. You're going to want light casual summer clothing like light linen, cotton. A wide brim sun hat is absolutely essential. Sunscreen, they always suggest there's SPF 50. And I forgot to put here, but lip balm, because it is so dry. And moisturizer. Now you can buy moisturizer there. In town, there's the Five and Dime, which has been there for a couple of 100 years. And they have pretty well everything, but it's basic everything. To go to a pharmacy is about a 2 kilometer walk. So I'd suggest you do just pack a small one of your favorite moisturizers and sunscreen and a lip balm. Walking sandals and sneakers. We are going to be, I would say, almost all on flat ground. There's some stairs going up into Museum Hill. Not much, and we'll have an elevator in the hotel, but wear shoes. This is not the place for dining out fancy, cute little high-heeled sandals or anything. And you don't need that. You need more sensible, comfortable shoes. And because there are some cobblestones, tiles, you don't want to hook your toe. So think comfort, a shawl, a pashmina, a light jacket if you feel the chill for the evening, your swimsuit if you want to enjoy the rooftop pool and hot tub. Now, again, I know I've gone over this before. The altitude, so we're at just over 7,000 feet. Just make sure that that's okay for you. You can check with your doctor. If you've ever had the experience that altitude is really, really tough on you, and it has nothing to do with fitness, age, anything. It's just, it hits some people, it doesn't hit other people. There is a medication you can buy. It's a prescription called Diamox, and you just take it. It makes fizzy drinks taste funny, and it makes your something else. I can't remember what it is. Your fingers tingle or something, but it does work. I did take it when I went to Peru. Can you flip back? Was there anything else at the end of that? Or
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. It's great. Oh, yes, important. I would tuck in, if you do use ibuprofen or Tylenol, tuck one in just in case, because you can get an altitude headache the first day. It can hit right away. Sometimes it'll hit in the middle of the night, and it's like, ugh. And I do advise, or it is recommended, to just take something immediately, knock it out so it doesn't stay with you. And usually you're acclimatized within 24 hours. And the other thing is not to indulge, maybe one drink, maybe okay, one margarita, one arrival drink, but I would limit any alcohol to that for 24 hours. After that, you'll be fine, but you really need to get grounded and acclimatized. So, again, I'm repeating it here. Walking, you need to be able to walk 1 mile on flat terrain. So, if there's any issues, if you could please let Cindy or let me know if that could be a difficulty. Any food sensitivities or allergies, I know you put that on your registration form, but if you've had any changes in that, if you could let Cindy know. If any of you have a CPAP machine and need distilled water for it, if you could let me know before we depart, so that I can find a way to go get it. Because again, that's going to be a bit of a hike to pick it up, and we need to know ahead of time. Or anything else, any special things that you require. And last on my little lecture list here, which is actually really important, is cannabis. Now, many of us use, I'll speak for myself, cannabis cream for any, cranky knees or arthritis, and any other cannabis products that we freely purchase here, you cannot take across the border into the United States. So if they happen to check you or find it in, a little innocent thing of cannabis ointment, which you think nothing of, in your cosmetic bag, they're banning people from the United States for life. There's a zero tolerance policy. And it's happening to a lot of people that go and do day trips, to Blaine, and they forget what they have with them. And the comical thing is that in Blaine and in New Mexico, cannabis for recreation and for medicinal purposes is legal. Okay. So you can purchase anything you want there. If it's for sleeping that you use it, again, if it's for any aches and pains, but please do not bring it with you. So I think that's it from me. I did put, Cindy, the last slide here. That is my email and my telephone number. So if you have any questions, even if you think they're silly, anything that relates to being in Santa Fe, the tour, to content, anything that's not the business end or logistics, please feel free to contact me. Okay. The other questions like the flights and all that, those are for Cindy. I just want to say also shout out to Cindy. We have worked together. I have run tours with Cindy since the 1990s. When I was running the gallery, and every year we do a tour to New York City or Chicago or Italy or Santa Fe or Bali, various places. And it's just, Cindy, it's just been a delight to work with you over the years. Thank you so
It's
much.
been a wonderful run, wonderful run, Ruth. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
One question, did you want to mention Meow Wolf?
Was it not on? Yeah, I did. Did we? Can you flip back a couple slides?
I don't think it was on the slides.
That is so funny. Are we operating? Oh, okay. Meow Wolf is. Is it possible to go back a couple of slides? It's not on it, eh?
Of course, yeah, sure, just
It's on the one that I was just looking at, and I'd written it. Okay, how do I? No, it's not. Okay, sorry about that.
It's okay.
Meow Wolf is a multi-sensory production. It is hard to describe. I can say it's a art project. I can say it's kind of psychedelic. It's interdisciplinary. It's interactive. It's a full-on experience that's just a ton of fun. If any of you are interested, it's in a big old bowling alley, not walking distance. So we need to find a way to get a Lyft or an Uber, just south of town. And I'm going to let you know which evening I think might be a good one. And just take a look online, put in to Google meow, as in meow, and then wolf, separate word, and Santa Fe. This was the very first location that this was created. And it was created by George Martin, who I'm sure you know that name. And he it's quite marvelous. And now they're in Las Vegas and in Denver and various places. But it's about 2 hours. You came through, right, Cindy?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. How would you describe it?
I think you just did in a nutshell. I mean, it's such, you just don't know what to expect
It's like a
every time
fun house for adults, but
yeah.
children do. Children do
Every
go.
time you
I would
open the
say
door,
it's
there's something completely different. And you get down on your hands and your knees and you crawl underneath something, and then you're into this wide open, amazing space. It's wonderful.
it's a fun thing to do,
Yeah.
and we would have to call ahead and reserve and um talk about it. So if any of you are interested, you can let me know. I will call them again. We can and see about reservations. Hopefully we could make them on fairly short notice get in. It's a fun experience, and I think it's about, I don't know what it is, $40, $45, something like that. But it's worth it. It's a one-off.
Great. Okay, thank you so much, Ruth.
I think if you go online and take a look, go into Google, it'll give you a good feeling for it.
Great. Okay, so I get the dry information, but it's important. Want to start by talking about your flights, and the good news is that nobody's on that 6 o'clock flight anymore, which is great. The first group will be leaving. Your flight will leave just sorry, at 12:10 noon, which means you'll be out at the airport at about 9 o'clock. And the second group will be leaving at 10:30 in the morning. So again, there you'd be out at the airport at about 7:30. What's going to happen with the flights is all of your information will be loaded into Alaska's group profile, including your passport numbers and expiry date, which I have. But you will be checking in individually. Now, I've been warned by Alaska that you'll still have to provide all of your ID at the airport. And I will go out to the airport for both groups 3 hours prior, and I'll make it very clear where we'll rendezvous before you go. So you don't need to be anxious about it. I'll be there. If you can't check in online the night before, don't worry, we can do it at the airport, okay? We just have to kind of work with the system. The one thing we didn't have on the registration form, but which has become quite commonplace, is a lot of people have Nexus. So again, if you could let me know your Nexus number if you have it, it's just one thing that we don't have to deal with at the airport. Okay, and I will send a follow-up to this for you in writing so that you've got all that information. So good news on the flights, the midday arrival, midday departure, and returning late in the evening for both of you. And hopefully that's the last change, but as you know, things can change, and I'll keep you up to date as that happens, as and if that happens. One of the things that we've been struggling with is documents. And so we've always been really quite proud of our documentation. We bind it. There's a color copy of the itinerary, the participant list, your packing list, reading list, emergency contacts, bound up and personalized for each person on the group. And there is a massive move to electronic documents. Some people welcome it, others people don't want to have anything to do with it at all. So here's my solution suggestion. If you're comfortable with electronic documents, then Women with Wings will make a donation of $20 per person to a women's shelter here in North Vancouver, if you're comfortable with that. And what that would look like is you'd have one email with many different attachments on it, all separate PDFs that you should be able to pull up quite quickly. If you're not comfortable with that, happy to do the booklet. We're going to be preparing all the work anyway, but we just want to do something that you feel truly comfortable with. So I'm going to leave that thought with you, and then we'll communicate by email and sort out what it is, how we'll do that. So again, in the final package, you're going to have the participant list, and we do that by room so that you know who's rooming together. You know, sometimes you go back to your room at night and you go, who is that and who's she sleeping with? What does that look like? So we'll have all of that for you. Make it easy. Let's see, again, emergency contacts, another copy of the itinerary, and Ruth will have a simplified itinerary for you on site where you'll know exactly what time of day you're meeting for the briefing in the morning and that kind of thing. That unrolls on a daily basis. So you'll have lots of information.
We're going to send out, Cindy, we said we're going to send out, I'm doing right now like a one page that is the itinerary. And I would say, let's just call it a draft, but pretty well will be set in stone. So it'll give everybody an idea. And I will highlight when there's definite free time, and I'll highlight, make a note of, say, an evening, if you wanted to book a special dinner for yourself, reserve ahead restaurants. You really do need to call ahead to reserve in Santa Fe or email them. And I'm going to, at the bottom, put a suggested list of restaurants, some, various ones, up to some of the sort of most world class recommended. If anybody is a real foodie and wants to you know, enjoy that. And yeah, so we're going to be sending that out shortly.
That's great.
I'll have
And
that
we,
done in a few
that's
days.
great. We also wanted to reinforce, we want you to know that Ruth and Jill are there to make things happen. So when it comes to dinner time, everybody's together at happy hour. We're kind of chatting about the day, going through the program, and they'll speak to you and see whether or not you want to go off on your own, or do you want to be part of a group that's being formed. So you don't ever need to feel like you're out on your own. But on the other hand, if you've had quite enough of everybody and you want a night on your own, that's okay too. Okay. So
Right.
just want you to feel really comfortable with that.
Yeah. But it's easy and walking to get around. And, you know, on many tours, this is like full disclosure. Cindy and I were just having this chat before our meeting here about dinners. I think one night I will make a reservation that it's possible that we cancel it if we don't need it, but I'll make reservations so that all of us could be together at dinner. Of course, there is a dinner that we have planned that's part of the tour for you, which we'll call our finale dinner, and that's already taken care of. But just maybe one night we all go somewhere for dinner. I will make a reservation. And the rest with the reservations that I have in my mind about all of this is that, as I said, there's this kickback at the hotel, and if you want to indulge from 5:30 to 7 in the food, the buffet, you might not even want to go out for dinner. So there's going to be lots of free time opportunities for you to do dinner as you please, either at the hotel
Mhm.
or with us, and we're not going to overbook anything on your behalf. Yeah, just one night. Two nights.
Perfect.
2 nights. Yeah.
Thank you, Ruth. That's great. Absolutely terrific. So I think that's it from my end. I'll be putting all of these notes, particularly as they're related to the ticketing, in writing for you. So please watch for that email. We've had 3 people on these 2 tours where we're having trouble with their email. For some reason, they're not getting our messages, and we've had to use an alternate email address. So please watch for an email from me within 48 hours. And if it doesn't arrive, please contact me, okay? But I'll be watching to make sure that I'm communicating with everybody.
I forgot
And
to.
yeah,
You
you
know
want
what
to,
happened? I think I sent you the wrong PowerPoint final. Um, One thing, ladies, that we didn't add here is we will at the end of the tours have a wrap party evening, and at a time when most of, you know, as many as possible are available and in town. And we usually host it at the Silk Purse Gallery on the waterfront in West Vancouver. And you can have a glass of wine and you know, regroup and meet new friends that you've met in the tour. And we also bring lots of we'll bring little canvases, art supplies, paints, crayons, glue, and you can make I don't know if you can see this. Can you see this? It's like a memory collage. This is one I did years ago, and this is a small, I don't know what this is, 8 by 8 canvas. And on it, I have a little bit of a poem I'd written in Santa Fe, my luggage tag from the trip, just a little saying here that I really liked, and some imagery out of I cut out of a brochure in Santa Fe and then painted background and collaged on some stuff. And you know, I adore this, and people love it when they come by. I have it on the wall. So we're going to do that at the end if you feel like joining us. It's always fun.
it's a great way to wind the trips up too, and it sort of keeps the relationships going, which is really, really
Absolutely.
special.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that we've covered everything. We've had you on for almost, actually, we have been on for an hour, so I'm sure
Yeah. 1
you've
hour.
had enough of us. But Ruth, thank you so much. That
Thank
was a
you.
terrific presentation, gives everybody a great idea of what to expect. Jill, welcome. We're so happy that you're going to be helping Ruth out, and I know that you're in for a great trip. And
Oh, no doubt. Thank you.
thank you all
That's
of you for
great.
coming tonight, and look forward to chatting with you by email and seeing you at the airport.
Yes.
All right,
Okay.
thank you so
And
much.
see you
Good
all
night,
in Santa
everybody.
Fe, and please feel free to contact me. I will, when we send out the one pager, I'll again give you my email and telephone so you can get in touch.
Perfect. Thank you, Ruth, and good night, everybody.
Good night.
Everyone.
Night.
Good
Thank
night.
you. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Thank you.